Pisces, welcome to your June of 2015 sidereal forecast. My name is Athen. So let's jump right in. Let's look at your chart here. For the 2nd of June, we have a full moon right here at the beginning of the month in your 9th house. This is the house of expansion, of optimism, of possibilities, of expanding either your mind, body, or soul, which might be through traveling, it might be philosophical in nature, it might be spiritual in nature. So whatever that is, especially for those of you who've maybe been working on this area of your life for the past 6 months, this can be a high point of that, and a culmination of that. And hopefully you have been, because Saturn has been in your 9th house, where maybe it has been this serious thing about these things. But if you've been working with it constructively and putting in that hard work and discipline in this area, this can certainly be a time of where that pays off, I think. But either case, seeing it clearly, I think you're seeing the life path. I think you're seeing what life is about very clearly, very optimistic, having that overall perspective here at the beginning of the month, which is very, very supportive. Also seeing the 3rd house, which is where you're having a lot of activity this month, and you did at the tail end of last month as well, regarding your communications, how you're thinking, how you're communicating, how you're writing, for those of you involved with that, or teaching or learning. All of these to and fro exchanges in life, especially through the verbal or written side of things, or thinking side of things. And this is a high point of those things, because you had a new moon here right on the cusp between your 2nd and your 3rd, about the middle part of last month. And so this can be a culmination of that. But in either case, again, beginning of the month, you're seeing both of these. This is the expansive side of life and the more practical, rational side of life very, very clearly. And that can be a very nice segue into the beginning of the month, because like I said, you're going to have a lot of activity here in your 3rd house this month. So see that, reflect on that, and maybe set any intentions too, because you will have Mars in that 3rd. So now let's go ahead and look at the 4th, because on the 4th you're going to have Venus shifting into your 5th house. So this is all about self-expression, and actually this is a very nice month for you, because you have Jupiter, who's been transiting your 5th house of self-expression and creativity and zest and joy, where you've had opportunities to express yourself or to create things of that nature, is now being trined up by Uranus this month, which I'll talk about. But Venus shifting into the 5th is really emphasizing this as well. So I think all month you have the opportunity to express yourself, have fun, enjoy life. It's an opportunity for that, and it's happening, through these communications. I think your communications, what's happening is with all this shifting, you're coming alive. There's like more of this sense of self and expression taking place through whatever it is you're learning or reflecting on about this 3rd house stuff here with your mind and all that stuff. So the reason I say that is because Venus rules your 3rd. She's in your 5th. And it's also the 8th house too, so you're expressing the deeper side of things, the true meaningful side of life, the truth, basically. So enjoy all of that. You certainly can. And this can be a romantic time too, actually, for you guys this month with Venus in that 5th house. But just a playful time, with relationships and enjoying the material side of life as well. So that's the 4th, around the 4th. And then on the 11th, we've got Mercury going direct after a few weeks of his retrograde movement here in your 3rd house, which is all about, again, the same things: learning, teaching, writing, communicating your thoughts. It's almost like you're learning more about how you're thinking, how you're coming across, how you're communicating. All of that stuff is going through this reflective time period towards the end of May and then these first couple weeks of June. So reflect on that. But when Mercury goes direct here on the 11th and onward, apply it. Put those things into action. These new ways of thinking, these new ways of communicating, of learning, of writing, of teaching, whatever it is you're involved with here. And it can also be siblings too. If there's anything you're working on, reflecting on with siblings in your life, that can be applying that as well. So move forward with that, put that energy forward. I think that'll be very, very nice for you. Now, on the 14th, which we'll be feeling this between the 11th and the 18th, we've got, so this whole middle part of the month, basically, we've got the Sun conjuncting up to Mars. And so here we've got this classic energy where Mars is, it's a lot of masculine energy, because Mars is literally combust. He's on fire. It's very, very passionate. It's very, very driven. Now, where that's happening is in the communication side of things. So I really want to say, be sure to walk that middle path with the Mars energy, the masculine energy, and the self-expressive energy as well. because there's a lot of that masculine energy. And another thing too about your chart is that Mars and the Sun are at the bottom of your chart. Okay, they like to be here at the top of your chart in the 10th house. So you're noticing that this month, that maybe if you are trying to express yourself, you are trying to create, or whatever it is you're involved with here, maybe there's, it's like you don't want to overextend yourself, you don't want to overexert yourself. It's a time where the Sun and Mars are kind of resting, and it's more of this internal process where you're learning more about it. So treat it as a learning process. All of this drive, ambition, things that you're, working on relating to that. And with the Sun too, the Sun rules your 6th house. So I think you're thinking about your self-improvement. I think also with Mars too, you're thinking about your life path, understanding more about that, communicating, philosophy perhaps, and also thinking about the material side of things. But like I said, those areas are going to start to improve and start to be on their upward trajectory this month, actually, at the end of this month, when the Sun and Mars go into your 4th, but that'll be later. So it's not that things are, have to be difficult or anything. It's just that if you're noticing any of the withholding energy here, where there's no flow, it's because you want to be focusing here on the 3rd house, which is how you're thinking. It's the more internal side of things, you see. It's more of the introverted type of energy. And then naturally through that, what you're learning now, what's really motivating now, is relating to how your thoughts are oriented. And then once you get a good handle on that, that's going to set the stage for, again, the upward trajectory of these two planets you see. So that's going to be the very strong energy, but it's new beginnings, and very powerful new beginnings when you're centering them around the 3rd house, because we are going to have a new moon here for you in the 3rd, and you're learning a lot, like I said, about this stuff. So apply it, express yourself, but it's got to be about this 3rd house stuff, if you get what I mean here. More of the internal, personal type of thing. So that's the overall energy here with these two planets coming together. Then on the 12th, we've got Neptune, your secondary ruler, going retrograde. So there's a lot of this internal processing going on, from what I'm getting a sense of here. I mean, there's a lot of other things too. It's interesting. There's a lot of this creativity and outward kind of expression, but then there's also this, reflection and, internal stuff going on also. And especially mid-month on the 12th, when your secondary ruler goes retrograde for the next 6 months. So this is a time where I don't think you're going to be noticing this too personally, but reflecting on the spiritual side of things, going within, going more into, again, that introverted kind of energy. You'll notice that shift here around the 12th. And what's happening is every year it happens for 6 months. Okay, so it's like half the year on, half the year off. So it's not that much of a shift from what you're used to. And it's where you're seeing the spiritual side of things. You're connecting to your intuition, your dream space, all that stuff which you do naturally. But it's going, much more, within in that sort of sense. So I think you'll notice that shift. Then Chiron goes retrograde on the 24th, so you'll notice that shift probably as well. And all that's very healing too. Going with the flow is healing also. So that's your 12th house. Then on the 15th to the 28th, we have a very, very nice aspect this month. It's a 3rd aspect, actually, between Uranus and Jupiter. Uranus is trining up to Jupiter. This has been going on since September of last year, and so this is the 3rd aspect now between these two planets. September, and then it happened again in March of this year. So now this is the last and final one relating to all of this self-expression, creativity, having fun, enjoyment of life. And that's where the opportunities are coming from, and they can be sudden, because what happened is, especially around March, is you guys went through a freedom moment. It was like a lot of old ideas of self, a lot of old ideas of like old goals and plans and things like that were let go and were released, and they still are in many ways. But what came from that is a great sense and a newfound freedom that arose for you to be yourself, to just go about life in a way where it's not burdensome, or things are holding you down. You're able to be free and just just be yourself, basically. So that freeing energy is now supporting the self-expression here, which has been this ongoing theme. So yet again, another very powerful month for the self-expression. Lots of opportunities there. 5th house is also entrepreneurship. It's children, for those of you who have children. It's creativity, art, painting, It's all of those things, anything you create, basically. And so look for those opportunities. It'll be the second half of the month. Take those opportunities and make them into a reality, though, because Jupiter by itself obviously is expansive and there's possibilities, but we want to ground them and turn them into something, because possibilities by themselves don't produce anything long term. So just remember that, because it's a very easy time, I think, in regards to these fifth house matters, and that's how you'll be able to flow with it the most. And this is your ruler, not to forget. So there's this, freeing up happening this month also, with you, literally, your ruler of your first house, now trined up by Uranus. You're getting more of this freedom to express yourself. And it's also freeing up your work too, because Jupiter also rules your 10th house. So for those of you who've been, maybe it could be entrepreneurship, but it could be expressing yourself at work, all these things you've been doing in the work sector about this creativity, more opportunities there supporting you there as well. There's also communications too. Venus rules your 3rd and your 8th. It goes back to all of this stuff, these changes, these new beginnings happening with your 3rd house. So very supportive there. This is where the very strong supportive energy is for you in the 5th house. It's a wonderful location for those planets. Now let's look at this new moon. On the 16th, we've got this new moon here in your 3rd house. So with all this reflection, this motivation, this drive, passion, all the stuff relating to the 3rd house things, there's now another new moon. Now this new moon is different from the last one last month, because last month it happened right on the cusp between your 2nd and your 3rd. So it's a little bit about the new beginnings relating to, the material side of life, your sense of self-worth, finances, things like that. And now it's definitely about, the communications, how you're thinking. And it all goes back to all this motivation and drive that you have there. So reflect on this time, because this new moon is going to be conjunct up to Mars, which can be a very, very energetic time. But because your Mars is at the bottom of the chart, again, you want to take it nice and slow. Think long term. This can certainly be a culmination point of a lot of these things over the next 6 months. But you want to find that middle path here. It's very important for you. And if you are very excited or very energized about the 3rd house matters, then great. Put it into action. Just be willing to adapt and change, because the new moon is a time of where we're still learning, we're still reflecting on what exactly is shaping up. And so what is shaping up will become much clearer once the moon starts to fill up around the 20th, 21st, 23rd, that time period, especially because the Sun and Mars are going to then go past that bottom of the chart, start working their way up, which is where they want to be in that upward trajectory. And things will be very clear about what these new beginnings were. So just be adaptive early on, but from the 20th, 21st, this is a good time to start pursuing that stuff, because then your Mars and Sun is going to start to increase, and you're going to notice an increase of your self-expression, an increase in the career side of things or work side of things, an increase in yourself, too, just because of the fact that it's, all aspected this whole Jupiter stuff going on. You're freeing yourself up too. And with the Sun also, your philosophy, with Mars, your philosophy. You might also notice your finances improving as well. Okay? So those related areas are the ruling aspects of both Sun and Mars. Sun rules your 6th house of self-improvement. Mars rules your 9th house of philosophy and your 2nd house of finances. So those areas I think you'll notice on their upward trajectory, but your motivation and your self-expression as well. And it's all coming back to this, emotional side of things. So again, it's still internal. So I really want to stress that for you Pisceans, is keep everything on the inside. If there are, this push and pull, maybe to do more of the public stuff, the career stuff, remember, it's coming from within right now. You want to be spending that attention on, in this sense, now where it was thoughts, which is internal, now it's the emotional side of life, okay? And take it slow, because again, they're still at the bottom here, all right? And I think you'll be very motivated, actually, by the emotional side of things, domestic side of things. There's a whole new beginnings. There's new things shaping up for you next month in regards to your home, family, your past, your roots, things of that nature. And that's going to be mostly the energy of July, but you'll certainly notice that shift at the end of June, around the 20th and onward. Now, the final aspect that's very important this month is that Venus is going to be conjuncting up to Jupiter here in your 5th house, technically on the 1st of July, but we'll be feeling this the last few days of the month. So again, we go back to the 5th house, new opportunities there. Could be romantic, could be fun, playful, enjoyable, creative, involving relationships, communications, the deeper side of life, and your work. More opportunities with the career stuff here. Could be, you know, maybe connections through work, creating opportunities, whatever it is, or vice versa. So, yeah, so enjoy that. Just express yourself. Enjoy those creative things with the 5th house, and that'll be the strongest energy supporting you this month is when you're having fun, enjoying yourself, expressing, and creating in general. So, Pisces, I hope you guys have a fantastic month. If you're new to this form of astrology, do check out masteringthezodiac.com. You can click the link down below, or if you'd like a personal session, and I will see you all next time. Take care.